If there's one thing we've learned about business and life, it's that people are the X factor. They constantly surprise us, both in amazing ways and not so much. We're Ben and Syya, and welcome to the Gnaw This Business Bytes podcast. This show is all about real life things we all deal with every day, how they relate to business, and how to make some sense out of our daily chaos. Welcome to the show. And welcome back to another episode of Gnaw This Business Bytes. I'm Ben, and this is Syya. Here's a question. How do you make your clients feel? Are you creating an emotional bond between your clients and your product? Are you sitting there, and we did this instead of if you gave them a Pepsi and a Coke, and you put it in front of you, and you were Coca-Cola, would they go grabbing for the Coca-Cola and throw the Pepsi out the window, or vice versa? Or would they say, it's just bottled water, carbonated bottled water with some sugar in it. It doesn't really matter what it is. Have you created an emotional bond where all of a sudden it doesn't matter how many of your competitors are in the room, they're talking about you. And they're reaching to deal with you. And they're reaching in their pockets to do business with you because they believe that your product, your service, your customer service, your people, your brand is worthy of their attention. Syya, let's gnaw on this.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Let us gnaw on this. But first, let me enjoy this wonderful, toasty, warm cup of coffee in my hand because it just feels so
And whose coffee
good.
is it?
It's an Addison roast, so it's
Yes.
a local roaster.
There we go.
But it's Ethiopian blend because we like a
Ooh.
little bit of fruit forward in our coffee. But look, let me tell you something. This is a cup of coffee. This is a cup. It functions and it serves its purpose. Whatever's inside here, we could have touched a little bit of Bailey's in it, depending on the morning. I'm kidding. I'm not, people. Trust me. Compulsion strong, there are some days.
Hey,
But,
the sun's over the yard. I'm somewhere. I'm not judging.
What are you talking about? No, look, this is just a cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for some, this could be like, this is my great grandmother's cup that she drank when she would wait for her husband to come home, who, funny enough, guys, was not my great grandfather. Want to hear that story? Well, let me tell you that story. You know what I mean? Like, and then you just kind of like, you go off into that experience of her holding it, waiting, and coming back from the war and all that good stuff. And the fact that you're touching the same thing, the same germages potentially, right, is right there. There's something to be said about this. A cup is a cup is a cup, but if you have a connection to it,
Mm-hmm.
there's a reason for it. And if I can make you care and give a damn about my great whatever cup, then it's a win. And if brands can do that, it's a win for the brand because now the brand's now associated with that warm feeling, not necessarily the cup. They're just associating that warm feeling with, your product. So let's go back to, I think, a episode or 10 or whatever, or maybe last week. I can't keep track anymore. Coca-Cola did a really fracking good job of during the 70s. It was a war-torn era, Vietnam War in America. We're trying to wind that down. And then Coke came out with, I'd like to teach the world to sing.
That's right.
And they had multicultural people singing. I'm sorry. That was over 50 years ago, and I remember it. I was not born when it came out. Yes, it was. Damn it. No, I wasn't. Less than 50 years. Damn it. Save me.
It's all right. It's all right. Tell you what, I was over 5 years old. How about that? We'll make me older. Is that better? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, whatever. Go. I'm done. And that was another great episode of Gnaw on This.
But here it is. When we're dealing with emotion, and it's about stirring up memories. Emotion is creating memories. It says, I remember when I dealt with this company and we had great customer service. Here's a perfect example. And I tell this story on the stage all the time about Zappos. Now, everybody knows Zappos is the great shoe company. There's a story, and you know what? I don't even know if it's true or it's not true, but I tell this story anyway. And it's about a guy that calls up Zappos customer service and he goes, I don't know what to do. And the customer service says, how can I help you? He says, my wife died last week and 10 pairs of shoes showed up on my doorstep this morning. He says, not a problem. Have you taken them out of the box? No, I haven't taken them out of the box. He says, leave them in the box. I am emailing you a return label for them. I'm crediting your credit card as we speak. We will take care of it. There will be someone there from UPS or FedEx or whatever it is later this afternoon to pick that box up. Just give it to them. They will take care of it, and you're taken care of. And he could have left it at that. And that same Zappos representative found a local florist, called the florist up, got a floral arrangement, had it sent to the house, condolences of Zappos. Do you think that story hasn't driven an emotional tie to thousands and thousands and thousands of people to sit there and say, it wasn't about the shoes? Yeah, okay, Zappos had to pay a return charge. Okay, maybe it cost them $50, $100. Who cares? They took care of the person. They made that person feel that they were listened to, understood, and valued. They created an emotional attachment to that person. And that person, for the rest of their life, and me, and probably another 50 people I know, have told that story from stage to thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And what that's done to elevate the Zappos brand, along with the other hundreds of stories that are probably out there like that, shows that the people at Zappos care about the people they're doing business with. It's not just a transaction. It's about making people's lives better. And when you think that the company that you're working with is there and they've got your best interest at heart, it's really irrelevant if they're $50 more money or $50 less money. You're going to buy from them because you have that emotional bond. Now, way too few companies realize this. Way too few companies do this sort of thing. It says, well, you signed off on it. It's your fault. No, okay, your client made a mistake. How can you fix it together? How can you meet them halfway so you're not going to lose money, but they're still going to feel that they're being taken care of? How can you create those bonds and that emotional connection? Because once you do that, it's amazing what can happen next.
It doesn't have to be grandiose gestures either.
It doesn't.
Like in the back of mind screaming. And again, I know we sound like groupies, but I know you and I have goals in life. Mm-hmm. But, I was at Disney World in January. I worked at Disney for almost 7 years in California. And I would just see so many stories. As a cast member, I would see these kids who I worked at a restaurant called Goofy's Kitchen. Shout out Goofy's Kitchen.
Yay.
OG crew. Where, it was the beginning idea concept of dining with characters.
Right.
And that's how old I am. Anyway, so the kids would buy autograph books, right? And a lot of times these kids would just, because of the rotation, timing, and just the way they had things to do, and mom and dad are like, we're not waiting 20 minutes for Cinderella to pop out. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, we would just say, hey, I don't know if we can get, Tigger to come back out, but would you like me to get his autograph? And the thing was, we could have easily just gone backstage and just went and call it a day. And, and the parents would have been like, whatever. But we never did. Like, all of us never did. We still had the integrity of, if I were that kid, would I want a bad autograph of Tigger? Because when you're a character, you actually get trained.
You get trained how to give a proper signature.
Sign,
exactly.
Right. And so we would always go backstage and we'd find the where the characters hung out and rested, and we'd ask them, we're like, can we get some autographs? And it was just so funny because they were like, yeah, no problem. And this is their breaks.
Yeah.
But to come back with it, and sometimes we would have like little pins or things that we could give away just to nominally, like sure. Tigger says sorry or whatever. I remember once we did this with a child, and the parents, it was their annual trip to Disney. That was their big trip for the family. Every year they would come back, and every year I would take a picture with this little boy. And
Nice.
so it was like over the course of 7 years.
Oh, that's got to
So
be cool.
so it went from being a 6-year-old to a 13-year-old. Okay. Well, he was 13. And at that point, I'm like in my like mid 20s or so, mid to late 20s. And I was actually about to leave. It was my last year. And I guess he had a crush on me. And his parents were like, oh my God. Cause he was a big boy. He was taller than me at 13. And they're like, oh my gosh. Cause it used to be he would sit on my lap.
Yeah.
But now that he was older, I'm like, I'm not sitting on your son's lap, you guys. He's 13.
Yeah.
Hell no.
No, it's
But it
not
was
happening.
just, but it was funny because I did give him a hug, and it was just like one of those, like, and they actually ended up giving me a book of all the pictures of us over the years together
Oh,
as a goodbye
nice.
gift, because I told them I was looking to leave, and then the next year they had it just in case. And oh, I'm making my heart break, but it's those little things that come back to you too, I guess, is what I'm trying to
Absolutely.
say too, right? So it could be something nominal, something like a Tigger signature, and it could be grandiose. I mean, man, sending flowers, that's a fracking sweet gesture. Um,
Absolutely.
whew,
Absolutely. I mean, I remember forgetting, this is going back nearly 20 years ago. And I had a brand new client, a potential new client, and we had to make custom jackets. It was for a police force, and we were making custom jackets, and it was part of the RFP, part of the
request
request
for
for
proposal.
quotation. And they paid me $600 to have this jacket made. And there was 3 vendors, and we were all supposed to make a jacket and then have it submitted by a certain day. Well, long and short of it is, my vendor in China messed the jacket up. Absolutely messed the jacket up. Horribly. One sleeve was shorter than the other. The zipper wasn't to specification. Something, I don't know what happened, but and I called my client up, or the potential client up. I said, look, I can't give you this jacket. It looks horrible. I'm embarrassed. My vendor in China messed up the jacket. It's my fault. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to refund you the money. I'm going to refund you the $600. Don't worry about it. I'll just tell me how you want the money back. We'll get a check out to you guys today. Second of all, if you have to blacklist me from ongoing bid processes, I totally admit it, because I'm not going to have you look bad because of my mistake. I made $2.5 million off that guy over the next 3.5 years.
Oh wow.
$2.5 million in additional revenue because I ate a $600 thing, and I actually took the time to do the mea culpa and said, hey, listen, I'll fall on the sword.
Yeah.
It's my fault. Let me fall on the sword. And he and I became really good friends.
That's nice.
But for me, it was sitting there going, you create an opportunity to make your clients look good. You give them an opportunity to have a story to tell. And in the same thing, you do the right thing. And if you usually do the right thing, and if you take care of your clients and you treat them like human beings, and you treat them as if they're someone special, it comes back to you 100-fold. And it may not have been him directly that gave me $2.5 million, but he went around and told other people about me at the same time.
Right.
And,
Right.
That story ends up spreading. And you never know where the good karma is going to come from, but you certainly know where the bad karma is going to come from.
Well, you bring up something here, though, is that you held yourself accountable, and you accepted when you screwed up Aaron, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you just kind of brought it right back to our original premise, though, which is like how to get brands to feel right, or to make you feel and value. And then the word value just kept popping up in my head. Was basically, if a brand can provide some level of value that evokes an emotion within you, and you again value that whatever it is, that's where the connection in lies, right? Because it's always an exchange.
Yep.
Obviously, a company or brand is going to want your business in some capacity, but as a recipient of that brand's, product or message, whatever it might be, is if we get something unfulfilled in some way emotionally, like again, bring it back to, let's say, for example, it could be something like, maybe it's drinking a Dr. Pepper instead of a Coke, but man alive, that, I don't know what is in Dr. Pepper, a little cherry in there it mix. I don't know, but it's so unique and it makes you feel good that you close your eyes, you can sip it on a hot Texas Sunday morning, because that's healthy to do. I don't know.
But you feel good about it.
Analogies, but that's it. I'm now connected and bonded to it. So yeah, I'd like for us to have more of a conversation on this in the future, because I feel like we're running out of time.
Absolutely.
But I do think we really need to hone in more on how, maybe the next time. Okay, fine. We talked that there's a need, but now let's talk about maybe how, and maybe we'll talk about some other companies that are doing it well. Maybe I'll be in for that if you are.
So let's come up with another one, and let's make that happen. So I'm Ben,
and I'm Syya,
and we'll see you soon.
Hey! Thanks for listening to another episode of Gnaw on This Business Bytes. If you liked what you heard, we most humbly ask that you like, share, and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to communicate more effectively within your organization, contact Ben at yourbrandmarketing.com or me at brilliantbeammedia.com. We can help you build your community, brand awareness, and personality through digital content and podcasting. We cannot wait to hear from you. So see you next week for another episode of Gnaw on This Business Bytes.